I get to talk about what I want to talk about, but it's under of their direction, their interest. If you start with selling the CMA, if you start with selling you being able to sell their house, you are out of touch with where their mind is at. And this is why it doesn't work for a lot of us. So just like the waitress reframed the baby crab and my oyster, I need you to reframe their lack of readiness as the best news you've ever had. I'm telling you guys right now, this works fantastically. Good to see everybody today. How are you, Mitch?
I'm very well. How about yourself? Do you have a good week?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I had to do a lot of traveling this week. I had 2 conferences I was teaching at, and one of them was in Lake Tahoe. I've never been there before. It was actually really nice. It's hard to get to, though.
Yes, it is. I wasn't born, but I was raised in Arizona.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, that's the dry part of the world, but I like it. I like Scottsdale a lot.
now I'm out here in Virginia.
Oh, yeah, me too. I'm in Virginia Beach. What part of Virginia are you in?
Chesapeake.
Oh, that's funny. We're neighbors.
Yes, I did some research on you, and I thought, he's in my backyard here, or I'm in his backyard.
Oh, yeah. No, we're in each other's. How about that?
Well, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right. So my name is Barry Jenkins. I run a couple of real estate teams. I've been doing it for 27 years and wrote a best-selling book called Too Nice for Sales that's remained a bestseller for 3 years. And the team at Mescula has asked me to spend time with you guys every week and just dive into your business. And so, agents that are on this call have shared with me that they receive the greatest amount of value when I am in a group setting, helping each of you one-on-one, right? So that means that one of you raises your hand or unmutes and says, hey, this is something recently that I found was successful in my business. This is something recently that I'm struggling with in my business. On my teams, we call that signs of life. When you're doing things that keep you in your comfort zone, there's no growth there. It works that way with the human body. It also works that way with our feelings and our money. When we're taking on risks and doing hard things, we make more money. So I want to go into that today for you guys. I want to help encourage you to take risks. But before I do that, I want to pause and give anybody on the call a moment to unmute and get some one-to-one encouragement, support, training. Has anyone had a win or a challenge in the last couple weeks that they would have enough courage to share with us on the call today? All right. So while you guys are thinking, go ahead. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, I had one that was a little bit different. It might not be a win for everyone, but I'm hoping that it will be a win down the line. So I had a conversation with a potential seller, and she actually told me straight up that she's actually not looking to sell, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, and I asked why, and she's actually going through like a terrible divorce and family situation and people trying to take her money from the equity of the home and all this stuff. And I was able to provide some value on the actual valuation once I knew that I wasn't going to get the sale anyways. Like, she wants to stay in her home. She loves it. But just to provide value for her that if she actually knew friends or family that are looking to purchase, by the end of it, she's like, oh, thank God. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you for letting me know what my home is worth. I know I want to stay, and I thank you for your time. And I'm hoping, I know it's not the greatest win. I know I didn't get a listing appointment or anything like that, but I felt good about it. And I feel like sometimes, maybe I'm speaking to myself here, we need to just kind of be people. And if we can help a little bit, home evaluation on our system will take a few minutes. And she was very grateful. So again, maybe not a very big win, but I thought it was very beneficial and it made me feel great. So
yeah. No, that's great, man. And honestly, I think that when you live that way, when every interaction is about adding value, okay? Because you could have easily said, oh, no problem, have a good day, right? You could have done that. You chose to spend another 10 to 20 minutes with her. And when you function that way, when you go deep with every person you're with and you add value, I have watched in my own businesses, because I have several, I treat everyone that way. When we run our business that way, where we're just consistently adding value, For some of us, we do that naturally. We just like to help people. And if that's one of you where you're like, oh yeah, I do that. I like to help people just like Patrick did. I want to give you some scripts to ensure that you guys are also creating space to get referrals. So, Patrick sounds like he already did that. He mentioned to her, if you know anybody. What I like to do is I like to say something along the lines. This really works well with expireds. I would call my script with expireds was just to basically give the reasons that I didn't think that they sold their home over the phone. And they were like really in-depth reasons. And then I would pause and I would say, people sometimes ask me why I do this, why I give away all of my secret sauce. And that's because there are some people that they're the type, they're just the do-it-yourselfers. And you strike me as that person. Actually, this is a FSBO conversation. You strike me as that type of person, somebody that wants to try to do it on their own. I totally respect that. I also know that if I give you really, really good advice, that and it helps you sell your home, while I might not make any money off of that, I'm sure you have a lot of friends that aren't the do-it-yourself type. And you're going to remember that I actually gave you advice that helped you sell your home for free, and you're going to recommend me, right? In a divorce situation, in most cases, it's a really long wait. And people are, even if they want to sell in a difficult divorce, they're not able to until everything is agreed to. And so what I like to do is I like to always get more people, as many people involved as possible. And so one of the scripts that I like to use when an attorney is involved is, I'm happy to send this information on the CMA to your attorney as well, just so that you don't have to. What's their email address, right? And if the attorney happens in the off chance to actually respond to me and say, thank you for sending me this, right? Which we all know sometimes they don't. Then I'm going to try to set up a call with him eventually, right? Because, and so I think that it's a situation where you always just want to go deep with whoever you are with. Now, when I say deep, I don't mean spend days of work. I'm not saying hours, but you're always looking to add value and make sure that in those moments that you're bringing up in a casual and fun way, that if they happen to know anyone that needs similar service, that you always love helping people and you're happy to do that, right? And depending on the amount of value. So I had somebody that I went to church with years ago that was thinking about selling, and they didn't want to, but they thought they had to. And the only way that they could stay is if they refied the home, and they needed the home to be a specific value, a very high value. And so I took the time to do a CMA and write the square footage math that I used for the appraiser. In that specific neighborhood, I had the square footage difference at about $35 a square foot. So on the MLS sheets for the comparables, I literally said, I'm going to make up the numbers just to make my math simple, but it's 100 square foot difference, 35 times 100 equals $3,500, right? So I literally laid out the adjustments like an appraiser would, wrote it on the MLS sheets as if I was the listing agent, gave it to the homeowner and said, tell them this is what your realtor said the home was worth, and here's the math justifying it. They got that value, and they became a source of referrals for the next 3 years. All of their neighbors were like, how did you do that? And they were like, my realtor did it, right? And so it's not about just being nice. It's about being strategic, right? And I think, nice people tend to just be nice, and they don't value what they're giving enough. They just get joy in helping others. And that's a fantastic thing. But as you're getting that joy, I have to remind the nicest, I'm thinking of one of my agents right now, just one of the nicest men I have ever met. And I'm constantly telling him, he had a listing, and the listing had a buyer that wasn't going to close for like 3 months. And so he was going to try to see if he could find a 90-day tenant to cover the vacant home. And I said, does your seller know how unusual that is, that you're trying to do that for them? And he said, no, I just told him that I was going to do it. The next time you talk to him, I said, say, listen, I normally charge a fee for this service of finding a tenant, but I'm going to do this as a courtesy to support you. At least put a value next to the work that you're doing. I normally charge a fee for this, but I really do enjoy helping others, right? And what you're doing is when you use that phrase, when you're helping people, you are ascribing value to them that they might not have realized was the case, right? Dealers do this all the time. I remember a car dealer is probably a bad example. He was like, they were nickel and diming me. I was only 18 buying my first car. And he said, all right, that's it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a free transmission warranty. And I literally, he didn't realize that was on the poster behind him. I was like, you mean the one on the poster behind you? So car dealers are really good about this. And that's obviously not a great example, but we need to be better about ascribing value to the services that we offer. And if you want to give it for free, like I'm not trying to get you to nickel and dime your clients, that's fine. But they're going to value you more when you value you more. I'm going to say that again. They will value you more when you value you more. And agents tend to not value the work that they're doing. And you saw this with the buyer representation changes with NAR. Suddenly agents are like, wait, I got to charge my commission rate up front. Okay, well, like I got to tell them how valuable I am. And it became this whole topic as an industry, like, wait, okay, like, why are we valuable as buyer's agents? And like, it was like a serious discussion. And I was like, man, the fact that you have to think about your value proposition hard and the amount of money that we make as a result, like, and so we really need to spend a lot of time thinking about it. And it's super valuable. So Patrick, that was a huge win. And I know that if you keep running your business that way, more good's going to follow, man. That's great.
I'd have to tell you that one, I definitely echo the fact you're the best coach that I have experienced either on or off Mescula as far as your straightforward honesty. So I really do appreciate that.
You guys are making me feel fantastic. Thank you.
And the fact that you're in Virginia Beach also is great because I'm from Richmond originally. So
okay.
I like that too. Today kind of proved that out because the call that I had today with a potential seller, $2 million potential listing that we're going to get. He's not ready to go right this minute because his wife is going to work at least another year, but he wants to buy some land in another place so they can build a house and move over this next year. So basically he has land he wants to sell. He wants to buy land. So that one thing is going to turn into potentially 3 transactions, right? We had a really good conversation at it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? If I just got that one, isn't that the sales pitch everybody tells you on leads? Look, all you need is one. It pays for the whole year of services. And I looked at it and said, okay, well, that's absolutely true here. If I just get the one, it's going to pay not just for my whole year, but also put a big smile on my face. So that's just.
Yeah, the stakes are very high in the industry we're in. And one of the things that I worked on, Jesse brought some of his concerns up on our last call I think it was last Tuesday. What for me, my conversion of online leads from Google and Facebook hovers in the 1.7 to 2% range. Now, Mescula, I'm not a user, but from my understanding, they do a lot of lead nurture and a lot of things to increase that conversion rate. But for me, I maintain a very high return on investment, hovering in the 1.7 to 2% conversion rate. Because for every 100 leads, I'm closing around 1.5 to 2 deals, right? But what that means is, as a real estate agent that's buying leads, you have to work through 98 of just trash. And in my experience, out of 100 leads, I'm going to expect that 80 of them are not going to reply. And out of 20 that do, 18 of them are going to be a waste of time. They're going to either say, wrong number, leave me alone. I'm not interested. I don't want to sell anymore.
Right.
Magic happens. And this is what I tell my agents, out of 100 leads, you need to have a substantive conversation about real estate with about 5. If you can have 5 conversations with 100 prospects, you have a scalable business model that persists for many years to come.
Right, because those 5 are going to buy anywhere from now to a couple years out, right? Just keep
Exactly.
staying in touch, right? Keep that
Exactly.
conversation going. So
Let's talk about those 5, because I did not know that, a decade ago, a little bit
Okay.
longer now, actually, maybe 13 years ago. And I would switch lead gen platforms every 6 to 12 months.
Ooh, that's a killer.
It was a scenario where I was used to working with my sphere of influence and sign calls up
Right.
until about 2008, when nothing worked in 2008. But and so I was used to working with intentionality, buyers and sellers that needed me. And so the whole conversation was based off of them needing me. But then once I started to buy leads, not only did no one think they needed me, but they didn't want to talk to me as a result.
Right.
Homeowners specifically feel this way. Guys, girls, homeowners do not like talking about selling their house, ever.
Right.
Only investors do. Investors and realtors, like that's it. Nobody else. So the magic with all of this is there enough discovery in the conversation? Enough conversation where you can find a way to be relevant.
Right.
So for me, when I'm talking to a homeowner, normally they're going to say they're not interested in selling anytime soon. So let's just decide as a group that when we hear that, let's not be scared or disappointed. Okay. No more fear, no more disappointment when the seller says to us, I'm not thinking about doing it anytime soon. Because what we've pre-programmed our mindset to be is this is no longer a good lead. I feel disappointment at this moment. And we have to actually flip it on its head. When a lead, buyer or seller, tells you on the phone that they're not ready, I literally, you'll probably have to fake it in the beginning. I want you to come across that this is the best news you have ever heard in your life. So what it sounds like is, hey, this is Barry over at LPT, just checking to see if you were still looking to sell that house you contacted me about. Nah, I'm not selling anytime soon. Oh, okay. So you're thinking like what, like 9 to 12 months, like not anytime soon? Yeah, 9 to 12 months. This is the best news I've heard all day. I am so glad you're not ready to sell anytime soon. That tells me you're taking the process seriously. I love to talk to clients like you. I happen to specialize in working with people that aren't even close to be ready. And do you know why that is, Mr. Smith? Why is that, Barry? That's because there are specific things that you need to be doing 12 months ahead, that if I talked to you and you were telling me to come over tomorrow, to be honest with you, I'd be a little nervous. Why is that, Barry? Well, because you've already made all the decisions that you're going to make. You've painted the colors, you fixed the laundry baskets, and you did the lawn. You made all the now I got to go and just deal with whatever you decided. And I'm the specialist. So because you're 12 months out, I get to impact the direction that you're going to go. And I just got to tell you, whatever caused you to click that button online, I just want to give you the kudos you deserve, because you're bringing in professionals now so that whenever you decide to sell, I'll be able to add my greatest value, which is in planning. So what you guys just heard me do is a complete reframe of the moment, because they think they don't need you right now because they don't need a sign in the yard. The power of your words, I cannot overstate it. Oysters are popular in the Chesapeake Bay where I live. I was at a fancy restaurant in Virginia Beach. I got a beautiful tray of oysters. I like to get them to do multiple kinds. I got the oyster, I put it in my mouth, and I looked down, and there was something moving. The waitress walked by. I raised my hand and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, there's something moving in my oyster." She smiled and she said, "Oh, that's a baby crab. That's good luck." I said, "Okay, it's good luck." I was like, "All right, let's go." Like, I was ready to get a refund, guys. I did not know that was a thing, okay? And just her words reframed my oysters in a second. And I walked away from that restaurant. I was like, man,
You got good luck.
I was so excited about the crab, and it was all because of 2 sentences and a smile, right? So we are fighting disappointment when we can tell the consumer that we paid good money for doesn't want to talk to us.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
got the roll, Barry, and I love it. Thank you. And I'll see you on your next one.
All right, Dimitri, I'll see you.
All right.
So we feel that disappointment, guys. And I need you to reframe it in your mind. The sale with these leads is something in their story that they're sharing with me that I can decide for them that this is good news and I can be relevant to them, right? So I say this a lot, but I know a lot of us struggle because when we're nervous, our instincts kick in. Our instincts are to pacify, please, make people happy. And the only way to make a lead happy is to get off the phone because they don't like talking to us. So you have to make the decision to fight that discomfort and ask enough questions for you to gather their story. So when they say to you, I'm not ready yet. Oh, this is the best news ever. I'm so glad you're not ready. I specialize in working with people that aren't ready. Now, Mr. Smith, with you not being ready, just out of curiosity, when you do decide to move, whenever that is, are you staying local or are you moving out of town? I want them to tell their story. And I'm going to listen to the story and I'm going to find ways to be relevant in their story. You know, Mr. Smith, you said you were moving to the east side of town, and then insert a value item, a way for you to support where they're going, right? And this one question, once you get them to go over where they're going and they're talking about what they want to buy, if they know, this one question allows you to stay talking about buying, but segue over to selling. The home you're in, are you planning on using the equity from the sale of the home as a down payment on your purchase? If you're not using this with your seller leads, once you get them excited about buying, you are missing a massive opportunity because that question allows you to stay relevant, but talk about what you want to talk about. You let them talk about the 3-bedroom, 2-bath on the east side of town that they want to buy and how they're not going to have to commute to work anymore. You let them dream about their retirement home on the other side of the country, who you can connect a really good agent to help them start to search in that area, right? You let them dream. And then you're like, now that house you're in, are you going to use the equity from it to for that house you're buying, or what are you going to do with it? Now I get to talk about what I want to talk about, but it's under the of their direction, their interests. If you start with selling CMA, if you start with selling you being able to sell their house, you are out of touch with where their mind is at. And this is why it doesn't work for a lot of us. So just like the waitress reframed the baby crab and my oyster, I need you to reframe their lack of readiness as the best news you've ever had. I'm telling you guys right now, this works fantastically. It has never not impacted the conversation in a positive way. I'm not saying every person I talk to wants to list the next day, but it always just makes the conversation feel light and effortless, which is your job. And so go through those 100 leads, get 80 that don't respond, have 5 conversations out of the 100. And out of the 5 conversations, figure out a way to be relevant to them right now. Don't ask them if they would like you to stop by. Don't ask them if they would like you to drop off a CMA. Don't ask them if they'd like you to look at the house like a buyer would. Tell them as an act of compassion, as a leader, right? It is in your best interest, Mr. Smith, if I stop by so that I can look at the home like a buyer would and you don't waste money fixing it. It is in your best interest, Mr. Smith, if I stop by to ensure that the CMA is, we've sharpened our pencil and we make sure that, you know what I mean? You got to take on the leadership of the conversation after you've built some rapport. And some of you are still, the problem with asking is it depends on if they see your value, right? When I'm meek and I'm asking them if they would like it, the only way they're going to say yes is if they've become aware of how valuable I am. That's tough to do in 5 minutes. I'll be honest, it is, even for someone like me. So what I'm going to do is instead of waiting for them to assume, I'm going to take on the authority of the conversation and I'm going to lead them in a humble way. I'm not going to say, well, I've been doing this 27 years and you need to let me come over. I'm not doing that, right? I'm telling them why I'm valuable. The reason why I like the repair conversation so much is that is something they cannot get from Zillow. They trust Zillow more than we want to admit. And they can't get that walkthrough with Zillow, not yet. So while Zillow can't do it, that is my unique selling proposition, my USP. And the greater you deliver your USP, the greater they're going to see value in your unique offering. And you're just going to increase opportunities as a result. And then listen, I'm going to throw this in for free and then we're going to end the call. When you do get a listing, if you are not generating 3 to 5 contacts from people that don't have agents, you are not trying hard enough. You need to be knocking on doors, putting flyers in the neighborhood. You need to be running your own ads. You need directional signs. You need to be answering your phone when they call you. You need text for info writers on the front of your sign. If you're not generating 3 to 5 new relationships, I'm not saying 3 to 5 deals, okay? I'm realistic. These casual conversations, when they call, hi, is 123 Smith Street available? No, it's sold. Okay, have a good day. Wow, you blew it. That one actually just went under contract. Are you looking in the neighborhood? Yeah, but I'm not really that serious yet. Oh, I understand. I wouldn't expect you to be serious. So what are you looking for? Right? You got to reframe every interaction, guys. You are commission-only contractors. You're business owners. So every interaction is vital to the success of your business. So make sure that you are getting those traction, and when you sell a house, make sure everybody in the neighborhood knows that you did it. Send them a postcard, send them a flyer. I don't care, but they need to know. And it is my opinion that the real estate market, I'm preparing for a spring uptick of 20 to 30%, which will feel like 2002. That's what I'm preparing for. And so the business owners that right now we're feeling lack, our credit cards are going up, our cash is going down. We're looking in the horizon and we're wondering, is there any relief? It is because I believe rates are going to go down 2 more times. I don't have a crystal ball, but because I believe that, and I believe when that happens, there will be an uptick in the market. I'm preparing for that. I am investing in my real estate business to the point I'm personally uncomfortable. I am actively uncomfortable. But when and hashtag if it does work out, you guys in 2 years, you're going to be like, I remember when Barry was saying about this. He put all his chips in thinking that there was going to be an uptick in the market, right? I did this in 2011. In 2011, I sold 125 homes by myself. The other agents in my market were not ready for that influx of opportunity because they weren't ready. I had 9 months on them. I outsold them. My business never looked back. And I bought 20 houses that year. Somebody was crazy enough to give me a line of credit. My family's wealth and my career never looked back because of one decision. I'm going to do the same thing now. So press in, do the work, stay focused, do it afraid, make the call, build the relationships, and go freaking make some money. All right? Happy Friday, guys.